We have a number of videos that where we discuss the right of access for patients to be able to access medical records in your practice. And I've alluded to in a few of those videos in regards to how much you can charge. Historically, we had a state established copy fee schedule that we could rely on and say this is a schedule that we can use and appropriately charge for accessing records. Well, with the advent of additional technologies and as more exploration and more rules have come out regarding HIPAA, especially those centered around the right of access. In other words, the idea that the patient should have a greater access to their medical records so that they can have greater interoperability or greater transfer of those records and information about their care to other providers. As that has continued to develop, then of course HHS has continued to modify exactly how all of this works. Right of access is one of those key areas, and if you're not aware, you can't, when a patient is requesting to have a copy of their medical records, there are very significant changes. You can't just simply charge the state established fee schedule. Instead, you can go one of three different routes. One of the routes is you can charge for the exact cost for making those copies. Now, you cannot charge for the cost in time to retrieve them. So if the records happen to be off-site, maybe you put them in a storage facility or something like that, you can't actually charge for the time that it takes you to retrieve those records from that off-site location. Instead, you can only charge for the exact time that it costs you, and you need to document it. But the exact time that it costs for the employee to make those copies, the exact cost of the paper, you could also include, or if there's an if you're charged per copy with your copy machine, if you have a maintenance agreement or something along those lines, in those cases, then you can charge that exact amount. Now, you can also charge how much it's going to cost to actually mail it if you're mailing it to the patient. The biggest thing in these areas is you have to basically work this out with the patient in advance. So that is option number one, is the exact cost for the records that are being requested at that time. It's a lot of paperwork, a lot of work on each one of those requests. The other option is to figure out exactly on average what it costs. And that would be, what does it really cost if you're going to copy, say, 10 pages? You can't just, how much is it going to cost for this one page? Because it takes a little bit longer for startup. But you really need to have a good determination. You need to be able to back it up and show that you did the effort and the work in your practice to be able to determine exactly how much it's costing to make those copies. Now, this is also really important in either one of those cases, or even in the third case. If this is a patient portal situation, you can't charge for access to the patient portal. Or if you have a patient portal and you can just simply flip a switch and have the patient's medical records put in that patient portal, in those cases, you can't charge either. So that amount of time or those specific costs, and even the cost to that you have to pay that third-party vendor to have access to those types of features, you can't pass that on to the patient. So right of access, your three options, and covered the one, exact costs. The second is average cost, but you want to be really particular. And again, document, document, document. Make sure that you have that laid out and you filed that away so you can demonstrate the cost. And the third is you could just simply charge a flat fee, $6.50. And that really is what it comes down to when we start talking about the right of access. Now, remember, those fees also apply if the patient has taken their right of access and asked you to send those records to someone else. So again, maximum charge, if you're going to just do a flat fee, is $6.50. You can, if you choose, make it lower than that. You could even make it free, depending on what you want to do and how you want to go about that. We strongly encourage to have consistent policy in your practice. You can also then charge exact costs. Remember, only the costs directly related to making the copies, or the average cost. And again, only the average cost for directly making the copies. It doesn't include retrieval time for labor or retrieval storage facility costs or whatever the case might be. None of that can be included in the price. We hope this information helps you out. Next time, we're going to really talk about why this is so important and the regulatory actions that are being taken out there. We'll catch you next week.